Video is going to be about modify commands. So modify commands are everything that modifies already a drawn element. Last time we covered drawing tools, and that video is already up. This video is going to be focusing on how do you modify anything that's been drawn. Again, left hand stays on the keyboard, right hand on the mouse. So let's get started. The first command we're going to learn is we're going to click on this P-line square. And this was drawn in our previous video. So we're going to type in the command CO, which is a copy command. And we're going to create multiple copies so we can modify this in various ways. So I'm going to click around to make about 4, let's say 5 boxes. So we can cover 5 commands. The first command we're going to learn is the offset command. This is the command that I use to demonstrate the difference between a P-line, which has dash in the middle of the dots, which can be converted into vertex or arcs, and normal lines, which are just one singular input. Whenever you offset a line, it turned into 4 individual lines, and when you offset a P-line, it can convert it into one continuous line, because there's technically one input. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that. The shortcut for that is O, enter. Now, we're going to be offsetting 3 inches, but if you were to change the distance, you can type in O, enter, and you can type in D, enter, which is for distance, and you can modify the distance here. So if I was to specify a 4-inch distance, it will be specified there, and I could simply click on the square and then offset out 4 inches. Now this square is offset out 4 inches from this edge. So that's the offset command. So copy, offset. The next command we're going to learn is the fillet command. So the fillet command is F, enter. Now, normally this command is used to convert 2 lines into a specific radius. And I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like. So we're going to click on radius, or you can type in R, enter. So first you enter the command by going F, enter. And you will type in R, enter for radius. So if I specify the radius as 3 inches, radius 3 inches, I will click on one line and it will bend it around at a radius of 3. What that means is there's a circle here that has a radius of 3 inches that has been trimmed out to make this corner. And the command that is associated with that is also called, if you were to do this at an angle, would be called CHAmfer. So it would be CHA as the shortcut, CHAmfer. Now for CHAmfer, I'm going to specify a distance of 3 inches as well. So the command was CHA, enter, 3 inches, enter, and then I simply select the line that I want to chamfer, and it chamfers. Now, what this 3 inches is from this point right here. From this point, if I was to use L, enter, from this point to that point in the X direction, it literally goes up 3 inches and it goes over 3 inches, and we chamfered at a 45-degree angle because 3 inches in the X direction, 3 inches in the Y direction. Now, if we were to chamfer using an angle, we can type in CHA, and you can specify the angle, and you can specify the angle as 30 inches, and you get the idea. that you're going to be specifying an angle, and we can specify this angle to be, let's say this is the angle that we want to acquire. So when we chamfer these two lines, they will chamfer at that particular angle. Now, ideally, you want to chamfer at a distance because we're going to be always chamfering to a 45-degree angle. But this is for drafting purposes only. So we have covered chamfer, and we have covered offset and copy. Now, the next command we're going to cover is called trim. Now, if I was to copy this square over, let's just move to the next square. If I took this square and I copied it over, and I copied it to the center of this, again, how I'm able to snap to the geometric center of this square is because I have specified my O snap, which is OS, which we covered in the first video, to snap to the geometric center. So now when I use the TR, which is the trim command, which is our next command, I can simply click here. The lines that I do not want to keep is what is going to be deleted. Now, this is what becomes the new shape. If you want to combine these two squares, or what used to be square, you can simply highlight the lines that are in question, use J, which is join command, enter, and this will join into one polyline. Because it was created out of two polylines can merge and make one polyline. You can also fuse multiple lines and it will make a polyline. So that is the trim command. So far it's been copy, offset, fillet, chamfer, and trim. So the next command we're going to cover is extend. Extend pretty much takes the line. So if I was to take this object, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this over, CO. Notice when I type in C, it becomes a circle. So you have to type in CO. If I copy this over, and I simply explode is a command that makes polylines into single lines. Now these are all individual lines. I can use the extend command, EX, and I select the line that I want to extend to. Was the previous version of AutoCAD. In this version of AutoCAD 2021, you simply select the line that you want to extend, and it will extend as far as the next line would intersect it. Now, if I choose to extend in this direction, it will give me no option because there is no line that will bisect until the end of model space. So in this case, I can continue to extend these lines. Again, I can extend that line over, I can extend this line over, and there's no other line I can extend. If I choose to extend any line further, it will extend to this square. This way, I have no lines to extend to because there's no other object that intersects. So extend command takes the line and pushes it to the absolute limit. Now, on the side note, there's something I want to cover is the multiple selection method. We've talked about this in the first video, but that is you can select an object by simply clicking on that one particular object. You can select from the blue window, which is by clicking and dragging your mouse to the right. And this will select everything that is inside that window. So in this case, these two lines were completely encompassed by the blue rectangle, so it selected those lines. Now, if I go the exact opposite direction, I am selecting all the lines that it touches. So if I was to just go this far, even though these lines are not being completely encompassed by the green selection, it will select those lines. If I was to do this with the blue, notice that it'll only select the lines that are completely inside of it. So those are the three modes of selection: simply clicking on the object you want to select, the blue window, and dragging to the left, which will give you the green window, which selects everything you touch. So aside from extend, you have the command called mirror. Now, mirror can be controlled by having an object in the middle. And I'm just going to place this object in the middle just as a reference. If I select an object, let's say this object, and I use the mirror command, MI, and I select from the midpoint of this square and I drag down, this is the axis of which I am axis of symmetry by which the object is being mirrored upon. So when I mirror and I have the choice of erasing that object or deleting that object, I will keep that object. So I'll say do not erase the original object, so this object remains intact. So that is the mirror command. The next command that we're going to learn, and let's go ahead and use this square. Again, these are all 3" by 3" square, is I'm going to select the square and I'm going to type in SC, which is scale. The scale command. I simply click on the edge of the square, and at this point I can either create a reference, which means I want this line to go to here. That's one way to do it. Control Z to undo. Scale again, SC. The other way to scale is you can scale by a factor. So you simply select the object, press enter, select the snap point which you want to use as a reference. So I click, and as I'm scaling, I type in 2, which means I'm scaling by the factor of 2. So this square is now 6" by 6", and I can use the DI, which is the distance command, to verify 6 feet by 6 feet. We were drawing them at 3 feet. So we have covered so far copy, offset, fillet, chamfer, trim, extend, mirror, and scale. The last command that we're going to cover in this modify video is array. Now, array is to take one object and multiply it in the X and Y direction. So you simply select the square that you want to array, and you will type in the command AR. Again, left hand on the keyboard, right hand on the mouse, and you press enter. You can array into a rectangle, or you can array path. We're going to demonstrate both, but let's do rectangle first. You can specify the number of columns and rows here. You can also, if you were to do it by shortcut, you would be doing it here. But array command is one of those commands that I would highly recommend using the ribbon for. You have a lot of control over spacing. You can move whether these become tables or chairs in an auditorium. You're able to move these independently. And if you want to make them individual objects, you can select the actual object and type in explode. Again, this will turn this into multiple polylines. If you type in explode again, it will convert this into multiple lines. Again, to do the exact opposite of explode, you select the lines that are in question, type in J, enter, which is join, and it'll make it back into polylines. So explode and join is kind of like Control Z and Control Y, undo and redo, where you can put these things together and blow things apart. So that's the array command. Now, we can talk about polar array or array along a path, and this is what we're going to be using as demonstration. I'm going to go ahead and draw a polyline, P-line, and I'm just simply going to zigzag this line for demonstration purposes. I'll take one of the squares, copy it onto the line, CO, again, is the copy. By now you should become very familiar with just typing in the commands with your left hand. And you select the endpoint here. So I want to make this square array along this path. So I will type in AR, enter, select the object I want to array, enter. I will select path. The path I want to select is this, and it will make the object flow along this path. Now, obviously, there's multiple options here, whether you want to have it align the items to the path, you want it tangent to the line, and various other ways that you can explore this array command. Now, for introductory purposes, know that the tool is capable of doing everything that I have discussed. Make this object follow the path while changing its direction to the path or being normal to the path. But for the sake of this basic video for modify commands, I wanted to show you what Array is capable of doing. Now, all of these commands can be found under the Home tab, Modify panel, and all the commands that we have discussed in question are here in the Modify panel. Again, as we're discussing, all right, so the last command we're going to be covering is the Rotate command. So I'm simply going to be taking one of the rectangles or the square that I have drawn before. I'm going to select this square, copy it, and I'm going to be rotating this square into a 45-degree angle. Now, the command is called RO, rotate. So once I press enter, there's two ways I can rotate. I can simply select the object, press enter, and specify based on base point and reference. Or I can specify an angle. So if I was to rotate the object from, say, here to 90 degrees, it won't show any difference because this is a square. So I'll just type in 45 as a reference. So this is now a square that's pretty much rotated to a 45-degree angle. Now, if I had a rectangle, let's say hypothetically, that I will be rotating in reference to make this align with the edge of the square, I will simply enter, move this object from this endpoint to here, select the square, RO, enter, and I specify my base point as here, so I'm rotating about this point, and then I'm going to type in enter for reference. Select the point from where I'm going to be rotating. Now that acts as my axis, and I can simply hold shift, or I can turn ortho on, and I will rotate about that line or that 45-degree angle. And therefore my square is perfectly fine and is back, and it was rotated at the reference of this rectangle vertex. Please like, subscribe, and comment below. Thank you.